Hi, thanks for joining me this April 5th, 2022 for the Power of Prayer moment. Today's title is Burning Desire, and the passage is taken from Revelation 3:17, where Christ is speaking to the Laodicean church, and he's revealing to them their place of self-sufficiency and their lack of desire for the things of God in their life or in their church. And the verse reads, "You say, I am rich. I have acquired wealth and do not need a thing. But you do not realize that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked." Jesus doesn't pull any punches there, does he? He says, you need to look at yourself. You think you're something, you think you're okay, but in reality, you're not. You need to stop and take note of what's really happening in your life. Yeah, you might have it, what they say on Easy Street. You may have everything you need. You may not have desire for anything else outside of that which you've been blessed with. But in reality, you are wretched. You are pitiful, full of pity, poor, not money-wise, but poor in spirit, blind and naked. They couldn't see themselves, and yet they were in need to be clothed with the Holy Spirit. Ian Bounds writes, "It is impossible to ask whether the feebleness of our desire for God is the cause of our lack of prayer." And it's certainly not impossible to ask, as he was writing, but what he's saying is that there's really no need to ask, because the answer is yes. Do we really feel this inward hunger for heavenly treasures? Does our heart burn for the things of God? No, the fire burns entirely too low. And that's so true for so many of us Christians. The fire for God, for the things of God, for the presence of God, for the power of God, for the authority that's given to us by God, for the indwelling of the Holy Spirit in our lives. That desire is weighed down on the low end of the spectrum. As long as we can make it through this day, as long as things aren't too bad, it's okay, when in reality it's not. Ian Bounds continues, "This, we should remember, was the major cause of the sad condition of the Laodicean Christians. They had no fire for God. They had desires for other things that make them comfortable, things that showed their well standing, that they were well off in their community, but they had no fire for God." Ian Bounds continues, "Our hearts need to be renewed, not only to get the evil out of them, but get the good into them." Renewing of our hearts. Romans 12:1 and 2 talks about the renewing of our mind. But the root of renewing our mind is the renewal of our heart. You see, it is our heart that really is the seat of our spiritual well-being. They need to be renewed so that the inspiration to turn toward heavenly things is a strong, moving desire. Yes, we need to take the focus off of the things of the world, off of ourselves, and put the focus on the things of God. That's what he's saying. We need not be like the Laodiceans, with us as the center of our world. but we need to be people, persons, Christians, where Jesus is the center of our world. That is the place where our desire should be focused. If you don't have that desire, we need to pray for it. Lord, give us that desire for you. I often pray, Lord, help me to know you better. Because knowing you better makes me love you more. Ian Bounds writes in this prayer, Dear God, sometimes my feeble desire is a reason for my lack of prayer. Please create in me a pure heart and renew the right spirit within me. It's taken from Psalm 51. Renew in me a steadfast heart, a right heart. Search me, O God, and see if there's any evil ways in me or any wicked ways in me. Anything that separates me from being all that you would have me to be and doing all that you would have me to do. Search me, O God. Help me to become that person of deep prayer. You be a blessing to others, and you'll be blessed. I'll see you tomorrow.